helping out on commentary.
Thank you very
And I'm
much.
Sonic as well, and I'll be helping with commentary.
And I'm RaikouRider.
Cool.
I'm going to be running this
I guess
game.
the meta says we're ready.
I'm going to
We're
be
ready,
doing
so
a little bit of
we should be able
commentary
to
at the
whenever you
start,
want.
but towards
I'm
the end of
still
the game,
Alec
this game gets a
K47,
little
and,
hard, and I'm going to need to
I'm helping
kind
out
of
on
focus on the
commentary.
game.
Thank you very much. And I'm
I'm gonna leave
Sonic
the
as
second
well,
half of
and
the
I'll
run
be helping with commentary.
And I'm RaikouRider. I'm going to be running this game. Also, I'm going to be doing a little bit of commentary at the start, but towards the end of the game, this game gets a little hard, and I'm going to need to kind of focus on the game. So I'm going to leave the second half of the run as commentary largely to my co-commentators. Also, there is a donation incentive for this run. If we can get $200 by the end of this run, I will continue the run past 8-4 to the letter worlds, A, B, C, and D, and those levels are just a complete nightmare to play through. If you want to see those levels, please get your donations in, and you want to see them, especially if you like seeing people suffer.
They are, I can confirm, they are awful. I'm sure. Do you have anything to say about them, Supersonic, that, that we wouldn't have to bleep out?
Well, all in all, this run is very deadly, and, yeah, just pray for RaikouRider.
So, there is a little small donation that I'm going to be doing based on this run. I will be donating $1 per death and $1 per firework, and if that donation total would set us over the $200 threshold, I will continue the run past 8-4.
So in other words, hope that he dies a lot.
So, are we ready to begin?
Good to go.
I will go ahead and get things set in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so that overhang with the red Troopa, I believe that is intentionally there for casual players to get 128 lives on this level, because the developers obviously thought you were going to need them, and they're not lying, especially if it's your first time through the game.
Yeah, especially since the original version of this game did not have the nice and convenient save every level system that the Lost Levels version on Super Mario All-Stars has. So that's a pretty big difference, actually, in actual playability that you're looking at in this version.
Oh, absolutely. Nice. That's a 3-frame jump. The 10-block wide gaps, Sonic, those are 3 frames, correct?
Yes.
That's what I thought. So that jump that I did over the Piranha Plant, that is a 3-frame window.
Yeah, this is a 60 FPS game. One of the different things about this particular version is that jumping over Piranha Plants is not quite as feasible. The hitboxes are a little bit more intuitive than they were on the original NES and FDS versions of Super Mario Bros. 1 and 2. So you won't really see him doing the death-defying leaps where Mario's legs kind of go into
there's one
through the Piranha Plant's mouth.
I was going for a super jump off of that paratrooper there, and I just jumped. I didn't slow down in time, and I didn't even get it there. That doesn't even save that much time. It saves like a second, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, super jump being basically hitting them while you still have upward momentum, so you go flying super high.
Which I believe is a mechanic that's unique to this game and not in SMB1, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the way the game handles jumping off an enemy is, instead of setting your upwards momentum to a certain value, it adds a certain value to your momentum. So if you hit an enemy from below, you'll jump extremely high.
Also, if you've noticed that whenever RaikouRider finishes a level, he would grab a flagpole from the right side instead of the left. That's because he will actually walk off the block much faster rather than grabbing it from the left side. So it saves a bit of time.
What is it? It's 1 or 2 frame rules per flagpole, I believe?
Just about.
Yeah, frame rules are still a thing in this game and this version of the game.
I actually didn't know that until about 6 months ago. That frame rules were part of this game.
I only knew it because I follow the tasks of Mario games because I find them interesting.
Nice Kaizo block, by the way.
Also, at the end of each castle level, there will be a countdown for your timer, so that adds a little bit of time as well.
And of course, you're probably familiar, with, at least in principle, with the poison mushrooms that hurt you, as you saw the demo Mario getting hit by that and dying.
Yes, they're poison mushrooms. They shouldn't be an issue in the speedrun, at least, because I know where all of them are. So 2-2 is probably the first, I would say, difficult level of the game. It's got a lot of tight platforming, and it's got a bit of a platforming trick coming up soon that if I can hit it will save about 8 seconds. Nope. I might be able to at least get the second half of it, though. Okay, that's a good setup. You're supposed to use a second invisible coin block to get over that pipe, but if you can get running speed off of the left pipe, then you can only have to hit one of the blocks, and it's pretty difficult to do.
Indeed, this is the first level that I kind of got stuck on for a while when I played the game.
I think everybody did, just because you need to find those two invisible blocks. Not even Luigi can make that jump. A lot of people are used to seeing this game as Luigi. The differences between Luigi and Mario is Luigi jumps a block higher, but Luigi skids.
Yeah, he jumps higher, he has floatier physics in the air, and almost ice physics like mechanics on the ground, so easier and harder in a way. Although for a speedrun, since you're not going to be breaking all that much, there's a pretty strong argument that Mario is the harder character to play as.
Also, Supersonic may have explained this in the previous run, but Bowser is very, very random. We do not like him.
It pretty much depends on like how your pace is going. So Bowser will just jump in various movements. So there will be like a backwards jump, a backwards forwards jump, or just a flat out forwards jump. Normally, if you see him jumping forward, you'll be able to run underneath him. It's also kind of... It's more risky to do it when he's doing like a backward forward motion, because he's a really big dude and somehow he can like lose a lot of weight while he's jumping
got the
in the air.
3-1 super.
Hey, nice.
Awesome. That's a really, really cool looking jump. One thing that's worth mentioning as well is that the Hammer Brothers in Lost Levels and also in the original Famicom Disk System version of this game have improved AI over the ones in Super Mario Bros. 1, so they're more dangerous, more trolly, and it only gets worse as the game goes on, not just because of placement, but because the AI becomes worse and trollier and more aggressive.
Oh, and wait till you see the Hammer Brothers in World 7. We'll talk about it when we get there, or they will. I am very surprised that that blooper did not charge me. I'm getting very, very bad fish luck. The water levels in Super Mario Bros. Games, at least this one and SMB 1 are terrible because you see all these cheeps. Those are all random.
Yep, it was just like that in Mario 1 as well. Like I was getting bad patterns, and then here in 3-2, like you're just seeing cheeps practically in every route that Mario's going. So you would just pretty much have to adjust like right as you see them appear.
Oh, if you want to see how bad it can get, please donate for D4 Warpless, because B2 can be a real nightmare depending on the patterns you get.
B-2 is definitely a nightmare. Like, I remember playing through the A through D worlds, and I would get game over almost in every world, so that's why I don't really run the D-4 category, so...
Oh, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. I consistently have more deaths in A through D. Oh, there's our fireworks. We got 3 fireworks.
Yay!
So we're keeping track.
I'm keeping track of it as well.
So we got what, like 1 death and 3 fireworks?
Yeah, we have $4 so far.
All right.
So 3-4 is the first maze castle. This one's not as bad as the second one. Another thing that I didn't mention is I will be playing through the entirety of this game as Small Mario, with one exception, and that exception will only come into play if the incentive is met. Nice RNG.
Have good bars there.
Yeah,
Bowser was really nice.
very friendly Bowser there.
Alright, so now World 4 is going to introduce a new mechanic to this game, which is going to be red piranha plants. They ignore the rules of never popping out if you stand next to them. And also, this is where I feel the game surpasses the difficulty of SMB1 is in World 4. Like, that springboard jump there, you have a one-block margin of error to make that jump. I might have a bad pattern here, okay. Alright, that was fine. So really starting in this world, and especially the next, is when I'm going to be seeing a lot less during the run, because this run, especially in the next level, requires a lot of focus. There is a noteworthy thing here. There is an invincibility star here that I'm going to be grabbing. The reason why I'm getting this is actually just for one enemy. This piranha
Could it be
plant.
the hammer? Oh, I was gonna
that
say
piranha
the
plant.
hammer bro.
No, the star actually doesn't last that far. It's for the piranha plant. The
Gotcha.
Hammer Bros in this
Oh,
level
yeah,
were
it doesn't despawn.
the Hammer Bros in that level were actually really nice to me. That last Hammer Bro in this level can give you any kind of just awful pattern. Like, if he doesn't jump and he starts throwing hammers, it's very, very easy to die. Alright, 4-3. I'm gonna let my co-commentators explain this level, because this level is really difficult and I need to focus.
Okay, so you're gonna see a lot of big gaps in this level, so he would basically have to jump nearly at the end of the platform in order to make it across. And there's also a very evil bullet build that's coming up.
Nice, I got them both.
There you go. So usually the first shot will just kind of throw you off guard and you would end up just like running into it. But with precise jumps and good RNG with the bullet bills, you should be able to get through 4-3 fairly smoothly.
Those 10-block wide gaps, those are also 3-frame jumps. That's the longest jump that Mario can clear.
4-4.
You're gonna see me do a little slowdown right here. The reason why I'm doing that slowdown is to actually... I got a bad pattern.
Yeah, that was a very bad pattern. Really nothing you can do about that except anticipate that it's coming somehow.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't.
So basically become psychic or you're probably just gonna die there.
Pretty much.
Or just hope that you randomly mess up and lose your momentum somehow.
Alright, that's a fine recovery though, but that lower fireball, and the second fireball can also troll as well. The reason why I went for the slowdown was to actually try to offset the fireball pattern so that it wouldn't be an issue, but sometimes, depending on the pattern you get, it can still be an issue. So there are things you can do to lessen your chance of getting trolled, but it's lost levels, deaths happen. So now we have wind.
Wind is a mechanic that they introduced for this game, and it pretty much just adds momentum to the right and makes you want to accelerate that way. This is pretty much the easier version of Wind, where the game is kind of trying to introduce it to you.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
There are a couple much more difficult levels later on, one of which you will see, one of which you'll have to donate to see, that have wind and springboards and huge gaps.
So there's a super jump at the end of that level that you can do to go over that wall. I chose not to go for it because it's very, very difficult and can cost a lot of time. I didn't get fast 5-2. You can actually slip in between that that turtle and the piranha plant at the start of that level, but it's very precise. Other than that, though, this level actually isn't too bad.
Yeah, 5.2 isn't bad at all. Honestly, most of the underground levels aren't too bad until you start getting into the letter worlds where everything sucks.
A2's not awful. A2 is probably the easiest level in the... Well, no. A2 and... It's hard to say, because all the levels in the letter worlds are hard. Alright, 5-3. Nice! That's, getting up to that pipe quickly is very hard.
Yeah, this is actually another maze level, and there's a safer way to get up there, but it is significantly slower than bouncing off the Koopa Troopers.
Yeah, and especially if you miss that pipe entry, it's just going to continually loop around.
Whew. I've definitely had infinites on that level before, because for the start of that, you not only have to hit a 3-frame jump to make it over that gap, but you also need to just barely tap your jump button to make it up to the pipe from those two Koopas. It's very difficult. If you press the button for even a split second too long, you're not going to make it. 5-4 is probably my favorite castle in the game. It looks so good when it's done right. Like, you pretty much never stop.
Yeah, 5-4 is actually a pretty straightforward level.
It's really fun.
Especially in this version. Like, with the friendly Potoboos, like, you can just pretty much breeze through. And you got a nice Bowser pattern as well. So.
The one right before the fire bar, if you get a bad pattern, you kind of have to anticipate it coming.
Yeah, normally in the FDS version, I would slow down at that fire bar as well, just to pretty much give me a better leeway for the upcoming fire bars.
World 6, home of the best Toad. You'll see that at the end of the castle here. It's also kind of where difficulty starts to ramp up, I would say.
Yay, I didn't go flying into the drink like I did at SGDQ.
Yeah, like you can see a lot of tight spaces, there's wind, there's more tricky enemy placement, more Hammer Brothers, more Paratroopas, and you can see the difficulty curving up, and it just keeps getting harder and harder and harder until the very end of the game.
And when you...
There's also a pipe clip that he could potentially do where that Kaiser block was. It's actually a little more difficult to do in the All-Stars version, because you would have to like jump at a certain way in order to go through. But it would pretty much save you some time rather than just going up and over. So 6-2, this level is very lovely.
Another thing that is very mean about Lost Levels is not only do the levels get more difficult, but the devs started to put checkpoints later and later in the stage. So dying becomes much more punishing in later levels. Boy, were those cheeps ever trying to troll. Oh great, 3 more fireworks.
Hey!
We're up to 8 now, total?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, you died before that.
Yeah, I died in... I'm trying to...
4-4.
4-4, yeah. Alright, so 6-3, this level and I have a history.
Ah, yes, this level.
Ooh.
Anybody who's watched me play this game before might understand, and that was actually a very similar fish pattern.
Especially towards the last part, where that one Koopa is just kind of floating, and normally the cheeps can actually screw you over if you're on a really bad frame rule. But in this case, you actually had good patterns in that one, so the fish wasn't able to really go after you.
Yeah, and unsurprisingly, the Cheep Cheeps are meaner in this version of the game than in Super Mario Bros. 1.
Exactly. Never friendly.
Alright, Can you give me a nice pattern, please? Okay, I'll take that. Okay, that works. I will take Alive in 6-4. That level is awful.
Can confirm. Also, best Toad.
So, World 7 is where the Hammer Brother mechanics are going to change. From here on out, the Hammer Brothers get much more aggressive.
They'll be walking forward, throwing hammers, giving you less of a chance of actually going through them. But still pretty doable if you get pretty good patterns with them.
We're picking up the star here to remove RNG from this level. Even though it is technically slower to pick up the star, it does remove a significant RNG. And if you die after where the star is, the checkpoint is after there, and the first thing you go next is those two Hammer Brothers that charge at you, and it's just awful.
Just trying to avoid them would be really brutal.
So picture those places where the three Hammer Brothers were, and just trying to dodge them without the star, and yeah, it's difficult, especially if they give you a bad pattern.
7-2 also had that similar beginning as 5-3, where it becomes a continuous loop if you miss the pipe.
So there's a very important note about that Lakitu. You need to jump on him onto the right half of his sprite. If you jump on that Lakitu on the left half of his sprite, he will throw a Spiny on the same frame that you jump on him. Now 7-3 I think is a level that we can kind of let speak for itself.
This level has death written all over it. But either like with the wind, it'll either help you or hinder you. But if you play it correctly, there are some springs that you can skip.
That should be good.
Let's see.
Yes.
Yeah, especially that final part.
Yeah, this level is actually deceptively difficult. You can, to some extent, play it safe by slowing down, but slowing down in the wrong way, you could just kind of screw yourself over. Like, where are you going to fall? You don't know exactly, and if you fall all the way to the left, you die. You can get yourself into situations like that really easily.
Hey guys, you have a quick moment for a brief announcement?
Go for it.
Sure.
Okay, so we just noticed that there was a little bug where Tiltify decided to go ahead and close the incentive for D4 anyway at the start of this run, even though we intended to let it keep running. In addition, of course, obviously, donation volume's been a little slow. I think people are a little bit tapped out this season for various reasons that are understandable. So we're actually just going to go ahead and say, let's just do D4 Warpless.
Oh, sweet, sweet.
Give the crowd a show. And so have fun with that, Raiko.
Of course.
We look forward to the additional donation forthcoming from you from those extra devs.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course,
this Bowser is awful, by the way, with the fire bar. Like, you can't go over him. It's tricky to go under him. And it only gets more fun in the letter levels.
Okay.
Also, if you've noticed, Bowser didn't shoot fire at all. Like, while you were, like, basically facing off against him.
Okay,
That can
cool.
happen
Got them in it.
sometimes.
You can get over that gap without stopping, but it requires frames.
Yeah, so basically what he was doing there with the manipulation was just to manipulate first to spawn the paratroopa and then manipulate it to be in a specific position for a safer jump and bounce over that gap.
It's mostly to set up the Piranha Plant and the Hammer Brother so that they play nice. Oh, this level's 8-2 is really neat. Where'd the vine go? Oh. I guess we don't need vine.
Yeah, this is another level where you need to do the secret exit. You need to finish the level up here in the clouds.
No, making the vine disappear like that. That's not part of the run. That was just for fun.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the path you have to follow.
Because the game can only have one quote-unquote power-up sprite on the screen at a time. So by making the poison mushroom appear... Oh, speaking of poison mushrooms, I just dodged 2 invisible poison mushroom blocks.
Yeah, 8-3 is a level that's a little bit more difficult than it looks.
Really? Thanks, game. Thanks for not having an input buffer.
Yeah.
So the reason why I ran smack into the Hammer Brother was because I actually hit my jump button too early, and this game does not have an input buffer, unlike other games that I speedrun.
Yeah, a lot of games will allow you to jump 1 or 2 frames before it recognizes you're on the ground. And it will just kind of recognize, oh, they're doing a quick jump here, and they'll let you have it anyway. Whereas in this game, if you press jump before you actually hit the ground, and the game recognizes that you're on the ground, the game's just like, oh, you're just holding the jump button beforehand, no need to let you jump.
Dude, I think that death in 8-3, I think that just cost me a PB.
Ouch.
Because my PB in this category is 2446. Pretty sure that death cost me a PB. I didn't want to say anything about it, but I just knew the whole time that it was going really well.
Yeah, it was. Like, you saw those couple deaths even before then. Well, that happens in this game, even to the best runners.
Oh, absolutely. Like... Okay, cool. That part with the moving platform and the fire bar is really frustrating, because you need to go underneath the fire bar, and if you're in the air when you pass the checkpoint, the game may not recognize that you're in the correct spot. It's really dumb. Hey, I got the frames. $25.27 for 8-4 warpless. That actually beats my SGDQ time.
Nice, and you had a really solid run at SGDQ.
Oh, absolutely. I think that was a 25.33. And only 3 deaths, too.
And now, the real fun begins.
Well, first we have World 9.
Yeah, World 9 is pretty much a break for the most part.
We present Fantasy World. Let's try 9 World with 1 game. Yes, that is in the FDS version.
So pretty much World 9, it's... How can I explain this, really?
It's really psychedelic.
It's just you're like in the water, there's just a bunch of stuff happening on screen. You got Lakitus in underwater that pretty much move normally, that have like no gravity whatsoever underwater.
It's like, whoa, dude.
It's kind of a reward to even get here, because in order to access World 9, you need to beat the game warpless, which not very many people can do.
Yeah, and it's even trickier to get to the extra levels on the FDS version. Like I mentioned in commentary for the previous game, I believe Vuligin actually is right, that you need to beat the game 8 times before you will go on to the extra levels.
That is correct, but you do not need to finish the game warpless. You just need to finish the game 8 times.
Right.
Where in this version of the game, you only need to beat the game once, but you need to do it warpless. And an interesting thing is that taking a warp zone in a file where you already have level 9 unlocked will actually remove access to level 9 from that save file. which is really interesting. Like, it just retroactively removes access to... You can't select it in the level selector on the select game screen anymore.
I actually didn't even know that.
Yeah, I found that out when I was young, and I'm like, why can't I get access to World 9 anymore? Oh, it's probably because I was messing around in the letter worlds trying to find the warp zone to World D, which is really cleverly hidden. Oh yeah, this screen. Very few people get to see this screen. Arigato. Arigato. Which means thank you. Alright, so that's the end of Act 1. Now is where the game gets absolutely real.
Yes, worlds A through D, you saw it get quite difficult in World 7 and 8, and now it's going to get even harder in World A, then even harder in World B, then much, much harder in World C, and then, yet again, much, much harder in World D.
The game gets borderline Kaizo by the time you get to the end of it.
In fact, there are actual Kaizo blocks where literally their only purpose is to stop you from doing a jump that would otherwise be intuitive.
So take a look at that staircase. Nice staircase, huh?
All those Koopas.
I think that's one of the most terrifying staircases in the game.
Yeah, there are two ways you can approach it. You can either go with enough momentum and basically do a super jump, which is tricky, obviously, or you can take it slow and hope you manage your momentum correctly.
Yeah, I definitely did play that a little bit safe. Probably a little safer than I should have. Oh. Yeah, I messed up the cycle, so I'm gonna have to wait for this. That stinks.
Stairs are the hottest strats.
Stairs are hard. If you start running this game, you'll understand that we make stairs look easy.
Yeah, they are actually deceptively difficult. I'm a casual at this game, and I don't know, at my best I could do stairs pretty well, but if I were to play it now, I would look like a fool.
Not a lot I could do about that. Also, one thing that we didn't make a note of is after World 7, there are no more checkpoints.
Indeed. So you die here, you start at the very beginning of the stage. And some of these stages are pretty long and, like, in addition to being really difficult.
Also, probably something we didn't touch on also, like, let's say you were to get a game over in A-3. In the All-Stars version, it'll give you a continue screen to, basically go from A-3 again, rather than in the FTS version, if you were to die in A-3, it'll take you back to A-1. So the continue system is a lot more nicer in this game than it is in the FTS version.
It was trying.
Oh
my God.
Yeah, that is probably the most... It's some of the most, if not the most terrifying platforming in the game in that level. If you slow down too much, then you're kind of at the mercy of the RNG. Because the Potobos will fire as soon as they're loaded onto the screen, but after that, it's completely random when they'll pop back up.
So, Raikou, out of the 4 letter worlds that you normally play, which world do you think is the easiest, quote unquote?
Probably... That's a good question. Probably this one.
World B?
It only has one obnoxious level, and that's B-3. Like, B-1 is not bad, and B-2, if you take your time, is fine. The water levels are only a problem when you're trying to go fast. But if you just take your time casually, this level's not hard. But the only problem is B-3, which has I want to say, you have to hit 2 3-frame jumps in a row, and it's a requirement to finish the stage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice big underwater fire bar. Hey, the Koopa despawned. There's a paratroopa that hovers right in front of the goal pipe there, but sometimes he'll despawn. And I was fortunate enough to get the despawn there.
Yeah, it basically depends on the movement of the bloopers.
Alright, B3. This is another level where runs go to die. Cool, I got both of them. That's very, very tight. I believe both of those jumps are 3-frame windows. Because that last jump, it's completely blind, and there's a Koopa right at like the beginning of the next platform that you have a 3-frame window to avoid. And if you miss either of those jumps, you're going back to start.
Yeah, and B4 is by no means an easy level, but
it's probably the
honestly,
easiest level in this world.
Yeah, I was gonna say I found it not nearly as difficult as even A4. It's kind of a maze level, but you know, once
my
you figure
exposition
that out.
is really messed up. I actually need to fix that because I have downtime here anyway, since I have to wait for this fire bar. Really? Thanks, game. Dying in B4 is a new one.
Well, when the RNG says nope, I think that puts us at 10.
I'm gonna update it at the end of this level, just during the countdown. Oh yeah, that fourth pipe. Did you know there's a Did you know that fourth pipe actually leads to a warp to World D?
Yep.
I did because I watch runs of this game. Really only because of that, though.
Alright, so... World C. I actually didn't jump far enough, so now that's gonna upset, like, this entire cycle. So now I actually have no clue where anything is gonna be. Nice piranha plant, thanks, game. That was my fault, though. That was my fault, though, because I messed up the cycle, so now I was on the wrong frame roll.
Even when the piranha plant's going down the pipe, and even if there's just a tiny bit of piranha plant that's on screen.
Yep, it gets you.
Yep.
Okay, cool, I got the frames. So you might have noticed me slowing down there to avoid fire. I did that to avoid fireworks. Fireworks work a little differently in this game. We didn't mention this before, but to get fireworks, it compares the ones digit of your timer to the ones digit of your coins. If those match, you will get fireworks. If the number is odd, you'll get 3. If it's even, you'll get 6.
Also, if you get multiples of 11 in your coin count, it'll give you a 1-up plus either 3 or 6 fireworks, depending if it's an odd or even number.
Correct. Boy, that bullet bill was trying.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This game is really trying tonight. Like, it's throwing me all kinds of marathon luck.
It's out for blood.
As if this game isn't normally out for blood. Oh yeah, this level.
C-3. This should be pretty familiar.
A little bit. The only
Yeah.
difference is Lakitu, and Lakitu does make a minor difference. I actually have gotten sniped by him in the middle of the springboard animation.
Also, the platforms that you have to land on are a little bit smaller.
That's
more
not
sporadic.
gonna make it. Because I landed on the left side of the springboard, I'm actually gonna have to use this. You can make it if you get the left side, but it relies on you getting the higher wind speed, because there are actually 2 different wind speeds that the game will oscillate between. It's very difficult to notice them unless you're paying very close attention, but if you just idle with Mario in the wind, you'll see that there's 2 different speeds.
And now C4.
Oh, this
C4
level's
is the stage.
terrifying. This level's terrifying. So I actually can't go for that quick jump there. I have to wait because the added fire bar changes the cycle. And because the Koopas are moving at second quest speed, that's something we neglected to mention, is once you get to World A, the enemies start moving as though you were playing second quest in Super Mario Bros. 1. It changes the cycle on the enemies. So even though the levels are almost identical, they do play differently. Oh, come on, Bowser, can you not be a jerk, please? Okay, I'll take that. That wasn't bad.
Yeah, you can, just by looking at it, you can tell that the hammers, which are random, you can't really count on them. And the fire bar going around, Bowser jumping all around, you just kind of have to hope that you get a good jump and fire bar pattern relatively quickly.
Oh yeah, that first jump in D1 is ridiculous.
Now we're in the infamous World D.
World D for dumb, because every stage in this world is stupid. Oh yeah, that Hammer Brother. That's fair, right?
Yeah, the fortunate thing is that you can just kind of bait him over towards you. But if you don't know he's there and you jump over there, chances are you're in for a nasty surprise.
So there's actually a very tiny window you can jump through those hammers if you kept on going at at max speed. But it's very risky, so it's better to actually play it safe.
T2 is, I'd say, the easiest of these stages.
It's
But
also the
still-
shortest.
Yeah.
Alright, so D3. This is the biggest RNG fest in the game. There is one particular Hammer Brother, the second to last Hammer Brother in this level, that, like, he does absolutely whatever he wants, and he has this horrible habit of jumping at the same time that you do. And if he does that, you will run into him, and there is nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, the Hammer Bros in this stage are just horrendous.
They do whatever they want. I better not have... Yep, I spawned that Hammer Brother too soon. I scrolled the screen too far. I will say, though, that is the closest I have ever coming to 1CCing this game without farming lives.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially with the degree of difficulty of this game. Just getting a deathless run in general, it's very hard to do. But without game overing in a single run, that is a pretty huge accomplishment in itself.
Thanks, Hammer Brother. This isn't even the Hammer Brother that's bad, but this is the level that I was probably the most frightened of when I offered D4 Warpless, because you can get into pretty strong infinite in this level, just because of Hammer Brothers.
And you can influence it and handle it well or poorly to some extent, but at the end of the day, their behavior is random, so it's not entirely in your control, and that's one of the things that really, really makes this frustrating and scary.
Yeah, ideally what you want to do is you want to jump over the hammer brother that I ran underneath, so that you can take the very last one in the stage completely out of play. And I'm gonna die again right here. I'm gonna die again right here because of this. Yeah, this is a very frustrating level, and this is actually one of the reasons why I set such a high conservative estimate for this game, because I've had this happen.
Those hammer bros are not nice in this level.
And because of this level, races of this category are not over until... Yeah, it gets silly. What am I supposed to do about that? Can somebody tell me what I'm supposed to do about that?
Be psychic. Yeah, so that was just a great example of how incredibly trolly these hammer bros can be in this stage. Just like jump up with the perfect timing, throw a hammer with the perfect timing and positioning, and there's really not anything you can do about it.
There we go, finally. I think only one of those deaths was really my fault. The rest of them were just the game harassing me.
Yeah, there's pretty much always a certain amount of your play, technically speaking, but like we said, just the sheer randomness of those hammer brothers means you can't be expected to account for it all. Like you could think,
with a lot of patterns, there's just not a lot you can do.
Yeah, you can think, okay, what are the most likely actions they can take and play based on that, and then they do something different and you just die.
Mm-hmm.
So we see outside in the castle level.
Yep.
And then we see underground level. Well, not really a level, but like a section. This is the only castle level that actually does that.
Yeah, this is another stage that I don't think this is nearly as bad as T3.
Okay, okay. That was actually really, really scary. That's time, by the way. That was really scary because you might have noticed I caught the wall jump pixel falling down that shaft. If that Podobo spawns immediately and you catch the wall jump pixel, it will kill you. But 4520, considering the fiasco that happened in D3, that was an incredible run.
Yeah, that was really solid because pretty much, like, the vast majority of time loss was just the game saying, screw you, as opposed to your play.
So, that's Lost Levels. I am about to go make my donation right now, actually. And we had 6 fireworks and 11 deaths, so that will be a total of $17, which is going to go towards the Mario and Luigi Glitch Exhibition. You please donate for that, it's amazing. So yeah, I'm just getting that in right now.